Oh, no. Okay. I'm going to use this Bounding into Comics article to catch up on this story that's, I guess, almost a week old now. And of course, yes, I readily admit my bias. I want to see that Snyder cut. But look, if I thought there was some story that said it's absolutely impossible and will not happen, I would just think, well, that's too bad, and move on. But not really seeing this. But let's weigh the stories as it is. So anyway, conflicted reports speculate on the fate of Zack Snyder's Snyder cut of Justice League, one saying it's dead. A report this week bound to make faithful supporters of Zack Snyder mad offers that the Snyder cut is not being released. Before you rage, know that the story had immediate responses to the contrary. It might not be accurate. Fandom Wire ran with a word from their exclusive sources, which are anonymous. The Snyder cut, well, they're all anonymous, really. Well, no, there's a few that aren't, like Zack Snyder himself. And Jay Oliva, people like that. The Snyder cut is not finished and won't secretly drop on HBO Max at launch. Well, that's not news. No one really knew if it would come out on HBO Max, and the hope was that that would be a good push for the streaming service to go ahead and have that available when it debuts. But unfortunately, due to the crisis we're currently in, that's not really possible, especially since Snyder wants to shoot more footage. He's already admitted that there was footage he didn't get to shoot. There's obviously the VFX were not completed. He admitted that. That's old news. But it's like the Martian Manhunter scene, and then there's this other scene he talks about that he kind of alludes to that he would like to do. And a lot of this comes to what I've suspected, that there's a couple of cuts, and there's the cut that he was working on that they requested. That would be a shorter version, and that one might actually be complete. I don't know. And maybe a few little visual effects stuff wasn't completed, and that's about it for that one. But that's not the story he really wanted to tell. He's openly admitted that the original script ended up being rejected by them. And they said, oh, it's too scary, and many suspect it was this scene involving the death of Lois Lane. And so, but now that he's got this movement and everything, he's saying, hey, why don't I go ahead and put those scenes back into it? And maybe that was the stumbling block. I don't know. And, but now, even if they agreed to go forward with that, so yeah, that would make a nice little gift for HBO Max to say, hey, guess what? There's a whole other version of Justice League, but you can only see it on HBO Max and all that sort of stuff. And, but, the disaster happened, and that's slowed to around. So, right off the bat, there's a mark against this, report here, as if, oh, it's not finished. I'm also, that's, not news. And of course, it can't drop on HBO Max because, again, the outbreak. So, Andy Senior wrote, we know many fans of Snyder and his Snyder army will not believe us, no matter what we type. But the reality is, there not only won't be a secret drop of the project on HBO Max, but, well, secret? I mean, like they won't announce it. It'll just, you subscribe and you're looking through stuff. Hey, what's that? No, I think they would have announced it if it was on there. But we've also confirmed that cut is not finished. Yes. Water's wet. Senior added, Warner Brothers is frustrated and fed up. Snyder encourages fans to keep release the Snyder cut trending. A ploy the studio considers noise. They feel bullied and vilified, like they're holding his finished cut for ransom, and don't wish to work with him again. In fact, each time the film trends, it's actually making the release less and less likely. Because there's interest in it. We're not going to release it. If there was no interest at all, then we would have released it months ago. Okay. This story follows earlier this week. The senior stated WB is going to use the Flash to wipe Snyder's films from continuity. Yeah, that's that's old assumptions and rumors about that Flashpoint would reboot the DCEU. and they would move on with like a new Superman and Batman and all that sort of stuff. Then Grace Randolph runs in and says, I think it will happen. I can't guarantee it. I know that there have been discussions. I know what Zack Snyder wants. I think it's great. I think that it is certainly within Warner Brothers' budget. Yeah, the number that Cena suggested or is offered that he was told was that Zack was requesting $20 million to do the extra scenes and all that stuff. He's like, wow, 20 million. Yeah, for you and me, but not for something like Warner Brothers, who spends way more money on even lesser projects and whatnot. So that's not, ridiculous or what have you. So I think it really depends on how desperate Warner Brothers gets with HBO Max. I mean, nothing would sell that service like the Snyder Cut or now Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think it's still very much in play. Yeah, that's the whole thing, and this whole streaming war thing going, which in a lot of ways is over for quite a few entities. They just don't know it yet. And surprisingly enough, D Plus might be in trouble if they don't hurry up and churn out. I mean, I'm thinking the Marvel shows can really boost it and save it, but yeah, right now, it's Netflix is king, with Tiger King. But, if they can come up with more of those, they'll rule the roost. So Randolph had addressed Snyder's plans for Justice League, new scenes, the visual effects, all that. And from what I've heard, he wants to add different scenes and stuff like that. All right, so that's, that explains the necessity for the money. So that I was hoping that, but doesn't sound entirely certain. Right. Cena likewise offers the caveat he wants the Snyder Cut to be completed. Yeah, but he just doesn't think it'll happen. So he's not saying that, at least the whole it doesn't exist, I think, is finally over. I don't know that he ever said that, but he says, yeah, I want to say it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So that's his position. So he's not entirely an anti-Snyder Cut guy. He also said Snyder had a meeting with Warner and asked, the $20 million to finish his movie, and they reportedly said, no way. Cosmic Book News responded to the report as well, saying it's a goofy rumor. Well, we kind of survive on those. Speculation. but yeah, because it contradicts itself. So it reminds readers that we already saw the Snyder Cut released with Ben Affleck, Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, and all involved. There was quite a few others as well involved with the release of the Snyder Cut campaign. If it's so hated by Warner Brothers, and I'm not, I'm sure there are a few, that are just, because why wasn't it, and don't want to hear about it and all that sort of stuff. But to the point that they're able to keep it dead and all that sort of with this kind of backing, I don't think so. Plus, these are different people who are working for Warner Brothers with all kind of deals and stuff, and yet they do this sort of thing. And then, of course, Zack Snyder recently had his Batman versus Superman watch party. Warner Brothers would shut that down if they're really have burnt all bridges to the man. And to let him do that, I don't think so. But plus, it's still available. You can go watch that, So, and that just happened, and you still run with this. You gotta, you can say someone told you this stuff, but come on, presenting it as, that's it, buddy, it's over. No, I don't think so. And of course, most telling, probably of all of it, is the new CEO. He's not quite in the chair just yet. I think he comes in the fall or what have you. Jason Killer. I don't know. Let's go with Killer. He liked a fan tweet about the Snyder Cut. So that's very significant. And so, oh no, the whole operation of Warner Brothers and whatnot is to cut off Zack Snyder. And then their new CEO comes in and says, oh yeah, release the Snyder Cut. No, I don't think so. So, so he makes this thing about all this and, okay. So finally, McCloy from Cosmic Book News makes the point that the article contradicts itself. It says Snyder Cut won't be released, but then says due to Snyder Cut trending, it has less of a chance of getting released. Which, it's like, if it's not going to be released, it really doesn't matter what anyone does. You could stop all of the hashtag release the Snyder Cut, and it still won't be released because they've decided it won't be released. It's the idea that if you stop it, it will be released. But if you keep going, it won't be, but it won't be released. Yeah. So I don't think there's anything really to this. It just stirs up things that is already known. That no, there was never really, at least not this cut that he wants. It's the longer one and whatnot. That he openly admits he wants to do more scenes for it. That one obviously is not ready for release. I mean, I suppose you could release an incomplete thing just for the interest in it, which I would watch it, but a complete one, my guess is there may actually be one, but it's closer akin to what you saw in theaters. Just a few things of the dumb jokes wouldn't be in it. So it probably would still be better, but it wouldn't be the actual cut that Snyder intended. Maybe that's available with a few visual effects things undone. But other than that, I'd rather go for this one, the big long one, even though it, I don't know if it ends on a cliffhanger per se, but it certainly is a movie that sets up other films, which will now not happen unless the response is so overwhelming. It's like, well, guess we got to do those films now. But as of now, I'm thinking, Affleck says he's done as Batman, as a pretty significant character for those stories. And so, would he come back to do a few scenes with Zach? Maybe, just to do a few scenes, or, allow for his image to be used and they just have a stand-in with the CGI Affleck face or something like that. I don't know. But provided that the scene is short, what have you. Maybe so, but yeah, it's a shame, a damn shame that we didn't get to see an Affleck Batman movie because, man, say what you will about it, I just thought that was spectacular in Batman versus Superman. So it's just too bad, but So anyway, yeah, I don't think that article has any real true merit that the whole thing is over with and there will never be released or not. I think there's probably still a very good chance that it will. It's just unfortunate due to the recent crisis we're all living under. It will not be available for the debut of HBO Max. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, won't we? All right. Thank you for watching and listening. Why not like and subscribe and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores and have plenty of goodies for you. Hats, mugs, stickers, posters, all that goody stuff. Plus, you can head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book Night Night. Oh, yeah. Plus, you can also catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on my channel at BitChute. That's the Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.